Hi, I'm Donna Michaels, and I am with Heroes United to Heal, and we are home based out of Brevard County, Florida. Heroes United to Heal is on a mission to end veteran and first responder suicide, which is the leading cause of death in both hero communities. So what we do is we raise money and we host suicide prevention retreats in Paradise Valley, Montana. So every person on our team are all veterans and or first responders. We all have a personal connection to our mission. Therefore, none of us are paid a salary or are financially compensated in any way. That way, every dollar we make goes directly to our cause. We do 1 week in Montana. We put them up on a 36-acre beautiful ranch, and they get a curriculum each morning, 2 hours each morning, explaining the science of what trauma does to the brain so that they begin to understand why they have the symptoms they have. A lot of times when we understand the why, it's easier to work through. The curriculum was developed by both a PhD licensed mental health provider who is a combat Marine and retired law enforcement himself, as well as a neurologist who's retired Navy doctor. After the curriculum each morning, we send them out on an therapeutic activity. One day is fly fishing. One day is equine therapy. We do nature hikes. We do wildlife photography. We introduce them to as many nature-involved therapeutic activities based on a study that was actually done in Denmark with the Israeli Defense Forces, who, as you know, experience a great deal of trauma over there. So the studies have shown that we can reduce, based on the program that we've put together, at an 88% reduction in depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. The VA reports 22 a day because that's how many they have registered in their system as veterans. And the actual number is 40 to 44. And I'll give you an example. In 2017, which is how this all started, I went through my own personal crisis. Had I completed my suicide in 2017, my number never would have been counted because at that time I was not rated in the VA. The number just wouldn't have counted. We know that we lose a tremendous amount from self-medicating, from substance abuse. Those are ruled as drug overdoses, not suicides. We know that we have a lot that will purposely die by accident for the sake of insurance money so that their families are taken care of. Those are ruled everything from car crashes to whatever, accidents. But the actual numbers are estimated to be 40 to 44 when you take all of that into consideration. And we are actually trying to work with some legislators to where we can create a form on all law enforcement forms where we can check veteran or first responder anytime there's an event involving a veteran first responder, death, overdose, or any other type of incident to help those numbers be more accurate and accurately tracked. So the numbers of 22 a day are based on the VA reports. They report 22 because that is how many they have rated in their system. The accurate number is 40 to 44. Had I, God forbid, completed my plan in 2017 and taken my life when I went through a really bad trauma and kind of reached the end of my rope, I would have not been counted because I was not in the VA system at the time. I would have just been another regular suicide. Or actually, in my case, it would have been ruled an accident because I planned on making it look like an accident so that my daughter was cared for. We lose a lot to accidents that are not really accidents. We also lose a ton to drug overdoses because of self-medicating due to the pain that they're in, whether it's physical pain or mental pain or both. We're trying to talk to legislators in the law enforcement field from the Attorney General down. It's as simple as adding boxes onto a law enforcement report and checking veteran or first responder. If those boxes were checked every time there was an incident involving a veteran or first responder, whether it was a DUI, a domestic violence situation, or alcohol related, or drug related, or suicide, or anything else, those numbers would be tracked. Because a lot of times you hear about a veteran or a first responder going, I don't understand, he's always been the greatest guy, he's fine, all of a sudden he changed. And they go down this rabbit hole of self-medicating, and then their life derails. They end up in a divorce. When you look back, you figure out that it was PTSD underlying, and they just weren't getting the help they needed, and they were making bad choices by self-medicating, and therefore that caused them to make further bad decisions, resulting in horrible consequences. So we would like to get better, accurate numbers to make people aware of how serious the problem truly is. We do have a website. It is www.hu2h.org. We, like I said, 501c3, all money that is donated goes directly to supporting our retreats. I highly recommend anybody seeing this subscribe to our monthly newsletter. It's free. It will keep them up to date on when we're opening applications for retreats, what's going on, mental health tips, all kinds of useful information that we put out to help anybody that needs it.
Have you had veterans stop by your booth and told you that they were
We have had several veterans stop by our booth. We have shed many tears over there, either because they themselves related to what we are doing and to what I just said. Some have lost a loved one to suicide. Those will always hit hard because you never know the person that is going to come out and say that. It's people don't realize it's far more than they realize. People just don't talk about it, and it needs to be talked about a lot more, or we're never going to erase the stigma, and can't fix it otherwise.
We had for the Memorial Day weekend at Pearl Harbor, we had the veterans in the park, wounded veterans in the park, and they've lost their limbs in Afghanistan, Iraq, and they're wheelchair bound and all that. And they dive in this program, which is very therapeutic. And one of the veterans said, "This diving saved my life," because he was saying that you have something to kind of work for, and then you can, even if you lost your limbs, your hands work, so you can. They were fixing the buoys on the USS Arizona and the USS Utah.
Absolutely.
The battleships.
Yeah. So that's another thing we try to tell people is, find your purpose.
Right.
Life doesn't end when the uniform gets hung up, or life doesn't end when you lose a limb or you go through a trauma. You've got to find that next chapter. You've got to write your next chapter. You've got to find your new purpose. And that's exactly what they're doing. And I'll be quite honest, that's why I am where I am today. Mm-hmm. If I hadn't gone through my crisis and my brothers hadn't reached out to me, I would have never written, journaled through my therapy. That journal became a book. The book reached lots of people, and that feedback inspired me to start the nonprofit. I have never been more fulfilled and happier in my life than I am right now, because I feel like I genuinely went through all that stuff to get to where I am today. And, I'm not saying what I'm doing is for everybody. It's not a one size fits all. People have to find what works for them. And that's why during our retreats, we introduce them to as much as possible so that they can find their new purpose and something that fulfills them.
So your career, first Navy and then police?
First Navy, then police, yep. Okay. I did 4 years active in the Navy, 4 reserve after that, and then law enforcement for 21 years.
So where did you serve in the Navy?
I served in the Azores for the first 15 months, which is off the coast of Portugal. And then I served in Panama for 3 years in the early 90s during the drug wars with the Navy SEAL community, which as an admin support person. And I will tell you, it was those guys in 2017, 30 years later, that saved my life. We are like family to this day. The camaraderie is unlike any other. And that's also a reason I'm a member of the American Legion. It's all about camaraderie and being there for each other.
Tell me about this guy.
So Saint was a gift to me in 2017 when I was in that very dark place that I spoke of. Mm-hmm. One of the SEALs that I had worked with had bred him. He was the second litter from the mom and dad that were brought over from Czechoslovakia. And Rob knew that a dog would be something that would be really good for me as I went through therapy and healing. He wasn't meant to be a service dog, but he started behaving like one, and someone recognized it. So we went through the training, and he took a long time and a lot of work, but he's very well trained, and he takes very, very good care of me.
He obviously loves you. When you were 10 feet away, he was crying like a baby.
I should have named him Velcro because he's always stuck to me like, oh yeah. He's a purebred German Shepherd. His name is St. Michael because St. Michael is the patron saint of military and police. And since I am both, and he was given to me from a veteran, and I was a cop, it just seemed like a good name. And we call him Saint for short.
You said your dad served in World War II in Guam. Tell me about that.
My grandfather.
Excuse me, your grandfather.
That's okay.
Apologies.
My grandfather is a World War II veteran. He served in Guam. He was a CB. So he was one of the ones that built what is now the Navy base there. My dad also served in the Navy between Korea and World War II. And I have an uncle that a ship was actually named after, the USS Birdo. So he was actually a Marine, I believe. He did something quite miraculous, and they named a ship after him.
That's amazing. When your grandpa, did you ever talk to him or get information from him where he was on December 7th, 1941?
No, he never would talk about that stuff. But I will tell you this much. Oh, I'm going to try not to cry when I tell you this because I don't talk about it much. When my mom passed away, I found a box, and it was all of the love letters that my grandparents wrote to each other during the war.
Wow.
And my mom ended up with it, and now I have it. And, you know, my grandpa was a farm boy, one of 17. All of his siblings were served during the war. And, you know, these macho, tough men, and the letters and the love in those letters, I cherish them. I just cherish them because I feel like I get to keep part of that history in my family with me.
Are those in your book?
No, they're not. I found those after I wrote my book.
Oh.
Yep. But that's like not a bad idea, actually. I don't know, though. It's so personal, but something to think about.
Sure. I want to thank you for your service and
Thank
for your message. And hopefully this reaches people that would help them. And anything else you'd like to add?
Go Navy, beat Army.